I'm going to talk about how we are using digital tools to help us manage the challenge of diabetes care. And also talk about how we are working with BrightInsight. But before that, I thought it would be worth to just reflect a little bit about digitalization, the power of that, and how it actually has changed the world we're living in, and sort of see how does that reflect the current situation in healthcare. So I guess we all know this. It's an old-fashioned typewriter, and that used to be something we used to write reports or letters or things like that. But today we all use computers, right? And we use that for word processing, and we even now do emails, things like that. So it's changed the way we are writing things. A phone booth. How many actually tried to call from a phone booth? There's actually a few here. Yeah, that's great. It's but we don't see phone booth anymore. It used to be on every other street corner. We had a phone booth, but now we're using our smartphones, and not only to make a call to family and friends, but it's actually in many ways the lens through which we see the world, and we haven't really fully experienced something until we have taken a picture and shared it with family and friends on social media and received an adequate number of likes, right? So it's really changed the way we are doing social interaction. What about cars then? It's sort of the ultimate status symbol and a very physical product. But now, we have heard that before today, that services like Uber, Lyft, Car2Go, sort of changing the way we are having our transportation needs met, right? And for a lot of young people, they actually decide not to own a car. It's much easier just to order your transportation through your smartphone. So another example of how digital are changing or disrupting our world. Retail, another example. We used to have the big supermarkets. Now we have services like Amazon Prime, and we can order pretty much everything there and have it the next day or in a few days at least. So things are changing. So digital is a really strong tool, and that's interesting. I managed to find an example where it has gone the other way. I don't know if you ever thought about that. Do we have an example where we moved backwards? Anyone? Well, elections. So we had the paper ballots and the pencils. We did that. Then we moved to electronic voting machines. But now Massachusetts, Virginia, countries like Norway, Denmark decided actually to move back to paper-based ballots because there's a trust in that. You can always recount the number of paper ballots. So that's an example of actually an area where digitalization maybe wasn't the right fit. So as everything else, you need to find that right application and consider pros and cons. So that's the same thing when it comes to healthcare. Luckily, we've heard a lot of talk about today how security, privacy concerns are built into the systems. So I think we will not reach that same situation as we have with the voting systems. But I think the interesting thing is that digital tools has this power to really change a system. And in healthcare, there is a real need to become more efficient, right? With a growing population, aging population. So we need to do something. And a lot of things is happening right now. I do believe that right now, these years are kind of, it's a defining moment. So we have a lot of technology companies popping up with very interesting solutions. We have large tech now focusing on healthcare, wanting to disrupt. We have pharma companies like Novo Nordisk now embracing digital technologies and acknowledging that we need to incorporate that into our business model. And we do have regulatory authorities also finding ways to approve these kind of products. So I think we are at a very interesting point in time, And doctors are, already using the EMRs, and there will come more solutions. Of course, we need to make sure that we design the systems in a way so it's really truly useful. But it's exciting. And when it comes to patients, I think now we have the huge benefit that the smartphones are really everywhere. Of course, there are still people that don't own a smartphone, but it is really more and more people, and even the elder population. And I would say today it's the first place you seek information if you are experiencing some symptoms is actually often through your phone or computer to go to Net Doctor or something like that. So I think digitalization has a lot of power, and now it's a time for healthcare to really benefit from that. If we look to our own situation, Novo Nordisk, we are founded around the discovery of insulin, and we are very focused on diabetes. And the challenge we have with diabetes is that today we have 425 million people living with diabetes worldwide. That's a lot, and that is expected to grow to 736 million in 2045. So that's a lot of people. We actually know what we are striving for. We need to have these people in good glycemic control, and we have a measure of that called HbA1c. We heard about that before from Gary today. And on average, you would say a good target for HbA1c across age groups is 7%. If we look at the current state around the world, we're actually far from that. In US, for type 1 diabetics, we are at 7.5%. And I think I heard that is actually costing $250 per month per patient, that we, on average, are at 7.5 instead of 7. So I hadn't heard that number before, but that's interesting. And US is actually doing pretty well compared to other countries. So a country like UK is more around 8.5% for type 1 diabetics. And if we look at type 2 diabetics, in US the average is 8%, and a country like Poland is 9%. So actually there's a huge potential to do better. So if we look across the populations and the challenge, then we have this rule, we call it the rule of halves, that describes the challenge. And if we consider all the people with diabetes, then there are actually even more people with pre-diabetes and obesity. The challenge is that of those that are diagnosed with diabetes, it's only half, all of them that have diabetes, it's only half that actually know it, that are diagnosed. Of those, it's only half that receive treatment. Of those, it's only half that receive the right treatment. And of those, it's only half that actually reach the right outcomes. So we need to do better. So we need to be better at preventing, we need to be better at treating, and we need to be better at reaching that outcome for all patients. So we heard from Kelly Close that diabetes is a complex disease, and it's because it's sort of impacting all parts of your life. It's impacting what you're eating, it's impacting how you exercise, it's impacting your mental state. And to deal with it, you need to measure your blood glucose. For a lot of people, it's several times a day. And you also need to inject your insulin typically with an insulin pen or with a pump. And you need to calculate what is the right amount. So that's a complex task, and you need to live in a structured way. So for many people, it's actually not that easy. And we also heard that what we all want is to just live a normal life. So we don't want diabetes in this case to sort of take all the attention. People need to be able to live their lives. So we need somehow to find a way to help people manage the complexity of diabetes in a way that fits into their daily life. So we need to find the right touch points. And as we've heard a few times today, we need more than just the medicine. So in our company, the medicines has been the foundation of the company. We've done that for many years. And since the 80s, we've had medical devices that have helped injecting the insulin in a convenient, more safe, more accurate way. But we see it's not enough. So we have improved on the medicines. We have very convenient devices, but we need more than that. So that is why we are now engaging in digital therapeutics. We believe we need to wrap all of this into a digital service that will help patients manage their insulin so they know exactly when to inject and how much to inject. And we have this first connected pen here. It's been launched in a pilot study. And one of the findings we have made here is that it's really valuable when the patient meets the doctor that the conversation about the higher A1C level now has data to sort of back up the conclusions that are being made. The high A1C, is that because the injections are not made, or is it because the dose is too low? So we have some interesting results from that, and we're going to publish pretty soon at a diabetes conference, so there will be more about that. We also have heard several times that we need to think in ecosystems. So digital health is really about tying all these different tools together. And we don't believe that we have all of that in Novo Nordisk. We have the medicines, we have the pens, we can make the pens connected, but we also need the glucose meters. We also need the cloud infrastructure. We need the security around that. There are a lot of things that goes into such a system. And because of that, we realize that we need to take an open collaboration approach to digital health. And therefore, we have a number of partnerships established already with some of the key players, so we can bring this to the patient where they can use the tools that they are already using and stay on the platforms they're already using. So the whole idea here is that we believe we can maximize the patient's value of the medicines by offering personalized guidance. So we can have better outcomes and hopefully improve those A1C numbers we saw before. So it's about the insulins, it's about the connected pens, it's about connected meters, it's about smart algorithms, it's about data aggregation and data sharing. So we were considering how to do this, because this is new to Novo Nordisk, and I think it's fair to say it's new to pharma, how to deal with this. So our traditional business model is making the molecules, do clinical trials, create some data, and then go and sell to the market. And typically, it's a long lead time. We have a huge machinery around all of this. How do we bridge this with the tech industry and the much faster turnaround, or you could say clock speed? That's one of the challenges. Another challenge is how to organize this internally, because we are moving across some of the traditional silos, you could say, inside a pharma company. So we need new collaboration patterns, and we need some support in the areas where we are not so strong. And that is why we have partnered with BrightInsight. So what we find we need is someone with the cloud infrastructure, with the security, privacy, regulatory infrastructure in place, where we can develop and bring forward these software as medical device solutions, and someone with the ecosystem approach, and someone that can make sure or help us to avoid that we end up as that GPS in the car. So that's some very good reasons why we wanted to work with BrightInsight. So we announced this partnership last year, and we're very thrilled to continue this, and we're working towards launching some products together. So that was essentially my speech. Thank you.